if you're starting a business just for making money and not focused on your customer, like what is it that you're trying to solve for your customer? What is the problem that your customer has, right? What is it that you're trying to solve for them? That should be the reason that you're starting your business. The money may not flow in year 1, but in year 2, 3, 4, 5, it'll just come in. You'll be making money hand over fist.
Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets, where each week Joe chats with world-class entrepreneurs to find out the key principles, strategies, and processes that lie behind their outstanding achievements. Now, your host, the no-bullshit serial entrepreneur, Joe Troyer.
Hey everybody, it's Joe Troyer here again, signing in for another podcast episode of Show Me the Nuggets. And I'm super excited to be here this afternoon with Ronnie Teja, who I got introduced to from Mad's Singer, a previous podcast guest. And he just said a ton about Ronnie. He's like, you got to get him on the podcast. And what's really interesting is Ronnie runs a network of 15 e-commerce sites that spans about 44, 45, I don't know, my team said 50 countries. We'll have to get into that with Ronnie. And I know that one of his little SEO accomplishments, even though he claims not to be an SEO, but he's got to be for this, right? Went from 5,000 visits a month to 50,000 visits a month organically. And I'm just really excited to pull him on and talk about what's it like running a division or a series or a group of e-com sites versus just running one. Right. I know lots of our visitors, lots of our customers here, lots of people that listen to the podcast have ventured off into e-com. They've done it maybe once, maybe they're not doing it now. They've helped clients do it. And I'm just excited to get Ronnie's viewpoint on e-commerce from the unique perspective that he has. So Ronnie, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, man. I'm super excited to be here. It's amazing. Wow. I never thought I'd hear such a nice intro. My mom, I got to say that to my mom. She's going to be really happy.
Oh man, that's too awesome. So you've been in e-com for what, about 5 years now?
About 6 years.
Okay. And where are you originally from, Ronnie?
Yeah, so I'm originally from India. I grew up in India and I lived in India till I was 22. And then my family immigrated to Canada, to Vancouver, BC. And then, so it was basically me giving up my whole life in India one fine day. Imagine moving to a new country, finding new friends, having to put a hard stop on your life. So it's basically you come to a new country, no new friends, no new job. None of your qualifications are actually ever met. So it's like coming to a place, and Canada is a pretty accepting country in all its for all it is. But so I taught myself how to speak a couple of Indian languages, which I didn't know how to speak, and then basically I used to go door to door selling radio. So I used to be like a knock on doors and sell like Punjabi radio, which is kind of weird, but yeah. Wow. So I did that for a year, and I went and sold public radio on buses because we couldn't afford a car back then. So
you moved to Canada, and what's next, kind of in the entrepreneurial journey for you, Ronnie?
Yeah, so moved to Canada. Then I was working with some after doing, of course, my time in sales, had an opportunity to go work for HSBC. Had a chance to work for Best Buy. Through Best Buy, of course, a very recognized brand. I got the opportunity to go work in Australia for some of the biggest brands in Australia, which is like the Wesfarmers Group. So think like Target, Bunnings, all the big retailers there. And then after I was done there, I said, hey, look, I'm kind of done working in retail. I'm kind of done working for somebody else and making them a lot of money. And I said, why not take a chance on myself? I was turning almost 30, and I said, look, it's been almost 30 years. And I said, the one thing I owe to myself is to be able to take a chance on myself. And that's how I got into it. And here we are, running a brand, a group of 15 sites keeps me busy. It's putting out one fire to another. So it's quite interesting, right? It's like there's no dull day in the life of e-commerce, or especially in my life, and especially with country regulations and all these things happening on a daily basis, P&L, shipping, usually customer service issues, so I could go into different things, but it's exciting. Don't get me wrong, it's super exciting. I wouldn't trade it in my life for anything else.
So give us an understanding of what your team looks like right now.
Yeah, so I have a fully distributed team of about 25 people.
Okay.
So so we have a core team of developers. Knock on wood, super lucky to hire really good developers. Got our CTO plus about three other devs who work full time. So they're mostly based in South America. Have a customer service team of about 14 people. Most of our company runs through the core value of customer first. Everybody says customer first. I certainly believe on that. We work mostly on the Zappos model. So if a customer wants to ever call us, order a pizza, we will have a pizza delivered to the doorstep. We're a watch company. We're a shoe company. We can be whatever company they want us to be. Our job is to make sure the customer always comes first, no matter what happens, right? Our long-term vision is to make sure that the customer is always captured. That is the only way how we can actually deal with guys like Amazon. That is the only way we can deal with guys like Zappos or anybody else, who we want to compete with. And of course, over and above, we have a team of designers, about 3 to 4 designers, and a couple of guys who work full-time in operations. Right? We have HR. We have one person doing HR, but they're on contract.
What site or brand or niche originally got you started in the e-com? What'd you cut your teeth on?
Watches. So my first brand was a company called Branzio Watches. Started about 6 years ago. The way how this came about was I had done some contract work for Movement watches back in the day. And I think this is in 2013 or 2014. And, as we all know, like the brand just simply took off. And I said, wait a second, man, I'd worked for these guys for a bit. And now all of a sudden they're all over. And I'm like, holy hell, why can't I give this thing a shot? So, off we go. Hired a designer in Vancouver. Thought I could have, in the comfort of my office, have developed a whole new watch line no matter what. 6 months in, I'm like, holy hell, I'm running short on cash. And then I said, wait a second, this is not the way to do it. So I packed my bags and flew to Hong Kong. And in Hong Kong is the world's largest watch fair. So in Hong Kong, I was able to do within a week what I couldn't do in 6 months. So it was, sourcing, setting the deals, getting the logistics done, signing a whole new watchmaker, going to check out like 6 different factories, getting through to one person who actually would support us, give us credit terms, and actually launch from there. It was phenomenal. I mean, like 7 days versus 6 months. I mean, there's a big difference between those two, and I kick myself for actually not realizing that sooner. So now today, if I have an epiphany, I think it's just better to fly down or drive down to wherever you want to be. It's a no-brainer.
So somebody finds a niche, finds a vertical, they think that they can do well in, right? It's got big opportunity and they're interested in sourcing. Just go to the source. Ultimately, is
always. Yeah. I mean, but I have an idea what your source is, right? It's like I'm, to an extent, quite a random person. So I have all these crazy ideas. It's just like so. Don't go to the Canton Fair, right? The Canton Fair it's the size of 6 football fields or 7 football fields, and everything and anything is there, and it's like a 1 month long project. It's like you don't know what you want. But if you go in there saying, I'm looking for watches, I'm looking for Japanese movement watches, I'm looking for Miyota movement or Grand Seiko movement or whatever, and then I go there to buy these watches, then I have an idea what I want to go. So you have a niche, I have something I want to pursue. But if I just go, I'm looking for furniture and end up at in a place with like 3,000 different retailers selling furniture, that's not going to get me anywhere, and I'm not going to be able to do anything after that. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So next up with Branzio, where'd you advertise, or where'd you make the sales happen? Where'd you get your break on the sales side of things?
Well, I was lucky to get into Facebook ads quite early on, right? I would say influencer game is still not as strong as the big guys like Movement and and the other guys. But I would say like Facebook ads were definitely we were quite early adopters of Facebook, quite early adopters on Instagram, quite early adopters on Snapchat. Snap's a good driver for us for sales. I have been looking into TikTok for quite some time. And we've been able to see quite a lot of traction on TikTok, believe it or not. And I don't know why a lot of people are not on there, but I would certainly give people a lot of grief if they're not on TikTok right now. I mean, it's just targeting the Gen Z, and of course they should be there. In terms, my background, like yours, is in PPC. So I used to manage. I used to be a big believer in paid traffic. But when you start your own business, of course, you have to look for, cheaper sources of traffic. So, a little bit of SEO on the side helps to subsidize all those costs. But however, having said that, let me be very clear. Every dollar that you're putting into your business, you should be able to numberize it. Everything that you're doing, there should be like a manual for how you're numbering your business. So everything from what it costs to ship your watch, to how much it costs to manufacture your watch, to how much it costs to store your watch, how much it costs to pick and pack your watch, every step of the way. What a lot of people make the mistake is they kind of estimate it. They say, oh, it's between $12 and $14. That's not how your business should work. You should know in the back of your hand that today, for me, when my watch leaves a factory in China, it costs, let's say for reason's sake, costs me like $9.30. And by the time it reaches Vancouver, by the time it passes customs, it's going to cost me about like $14.30. When it hits the warehouse and the pick and pack, it's going to be $17.45. I need to know the CPA, not from the manufacturing when it leaves China, from when it reaches my warehouse in the US. And a lot of people, there's horror stories of people doing it. I'm sure you've had people here on your program before who've done that. And I think, having a system of numberization, getting very acquainted with the numbers is extremely important, right? And then you can work back from there. So that was something that worked in my benefit when I started.
So when you're running paid advertising now, are you looking as a goal to break even on the front? Are you going negative on the front? Kind of what's your advertising mindset, so to speak? I talk with so many people, and I feel like so many business owners have a horrible mindset when it comes to CPA and cash now versus later, and they're really all about the initial sale and money on the first sale, right? And cash in their pocket, and they're not playing the long-term, game. It's kind of the churn and burn game.
Well, that's what's wrong with e-com today, right? I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy. Look, there's guys out there.
No, but it is. It's the problem.
People out there to make a quick buck. If people out there to make a quick buck, there's always bad actors, right? There's always going to be guys with black hat. There's always going to be guys who are up to no good, and a few bad actors screwed up for all of us. But having said that, the one reason, if you're getting into business, right? I think it was in that book, The E-Myth Revisited, where I think they said 80% of all small businesses will fail within the first 5 years, right? I think that's bullshit, right? I'm sure the figure could be higher, right? But the thing is, if you go into a business, like you're saying, with a mindset from day one saying, I'm here and I just want to make money as quickly as possible, right? Get my cash flow going, and then try and sell the store try and sell my store on Shopify Marketplace or through any third-party Flippa or something else, and then it's just the end of it, right? To have, and that's what I was talking about earlier, one of the values on what our company thrives on is customer service, right? We are not here for the short run. If you have picked a product that you believe in, if you've picked a product that that wakes you up in the morning and it's like that Yeti cup that you're drinking from. The guys who made that were excited to give us such a product, right? It's like I woke up, I felt amazing, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to go out and change the way people drink hot coffee or, how people are doing things, right? You have to have a 5-year, 10-year vision, right? And to get up and ask yourself why you're doing this, what is keeping you here, is quite important, right? It sounds pretty hippy-dippy for me to say so, but it's not. I mean, I was that guy in the first year thinking, oh, I'm just going to do this for 1 year and I'm going to quit. I'm not kidding you at all. It was like, I'm just going to do this for 6 months. I've made my money. I'm happy. I'm going to go retire in Thailand, and that's it. But it's like, man, you're not building anything good out of it. You're not building anything that is fulfilling, right? And when you're starting your business, you have to think about something. What is my valuation in 10 years, right? What is that what I want to sell my brand for in 10 years? And when I start working back from that, that's where I know, wait a second, this is the end goal, right? And that's when you're talking about Facebook ads, right? I think having a CPA focus is important, right? I'd say 80% of your business for your Google ads or your Facebook ads should have that focus, right? But you have to keep about 20 to 30% as awareness, right? People want to know your brand. People are not going to have a dream about your brand. People are not going to think about, Branzio Watches or just from top of mind. We're not the big guys. We're not Movement. We're not Titan. We're not Timex. We're not Casio, right? We're just like just another watch that might come across on your shopping feed. For us to go to the next level, we need to have that awareness present for the customer, right? And the awareness could be in certain ways. The awareness could be influencer, it could be your best friend wearing it, it could be word of mouth. Oh, hey, I called Branzio and I wanted a watch, and these guys went above and beyond to help me out, right? Those are the kind of feelings that we look for, right? What is the interconnectivity of the brand? Like Starbucks is not in the business of selling coffee, right? Starbucks is in the business of connectivity. It is connecting people at the coffee shops, if you think about it, and they have a really cool diagram about it, which you can find online. Does that answer
That's
your
great.
question?
What you said there. No. What you said there was great, man. Your perspective and the plays and what you focused on in your business completely shifted when you ultimately decided that this was a long-term play for you, right? When you realized like that I'm going to sell this brand in 5 years or in 10 years, everything that you were doing and your mindset completely changed. So I'm curious, Ronnie, what you would tell your younger self, right? That was thinking like, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to run this for 6 months, right? And it's all about the cash right now. And then I'm out, I'm checking out, I'm done, sayonara, see you later. Because I feel like part of my job with a podcast is helping people that haven't been through that aha moment yet, right? And they're not thinking about the end in mind. They're not thinking about the grander vision. They're not thinking about the even year down plan, right? The 2-year plan, the 3-year, the 5-year. They're just looking at tomorrow, right? Or next month. And because of it, they're making really stupid decisions.
Well, I'd say the first advice is don't drink. I don't know, man. No, I'm not making this up. Look, I'm a living testament to you, right? It's been a year to the day that I gave up drinking. I've lost about 40 kilos. So in pounds,
Wow.
that's about close to about 80 pounds. My business, I shit you not, went up by 45% in revenue from just not doing it. So not doing it, right? I feel a lot calmer. I feel a lot less anxious. I feel when I wake up, I feel like super energetic that I'm out there to conquer the day, right?
Yep.
So this thing about smoking, drinking, all this, microdosing drugs, whatever the hell you want to call them, is, if it floats your boat, it floats your boat. But it's not the answer when you're stressed out, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Point number one. Lead a healthy lifestyle. I think I hate to sound like somebody's dad out here, but I think it's quite important to understand the fact that to lead a healthy lifestyle, sound mind and body is quite important is the first focus of business. Once you have a sound mind and body, the second thing that I believe that's extremely important is to look at your drivers. What is your driver? So when you're saying that people are looking at things in a very short term basis, and people are looking at what is it tomorrow, what is it like 2 days from now, if people just want to live in the now and people just want to live in tomorrow, maybe it's not his job to start a business, right? You're
Right.
probably going to
For
be
sure.
the bad actors that get half the guys who are trying to build legitimate businesses on Facebook banned, right? I'm sure you've had people on here including myself. I've had like Google bans and Facebook bans before. We're running completely legitimate businesses, and one fine day, some guy decides that your brand shouldn't be advertised. But why? Because some bad actors killed it for everybody else. And I'm sorry, I'm a little passionate about the subject, but yeah, but to have that number two, which is what the reason why you're starting this business. The reason should not be money. If you think, of course, money gets you a lot of cool things. Money will get you your cars, your Ferraris, blah, 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 blah. But if you're starting the business just for making money and not focused on your customer, like what is it that you're trying to solve for your customer? What is the problem that your customer has, right? What is it that you're trying to solve for them? That should be the reason that you're starting your business. The money may not flow in year one, but in year 2, 3, 4, 5, it'll just come in. You'll be making money hand over fist. But the first question should be is what sort of problem are you actually solving for your customer, right? And not a lot of people actually start from that question. So that would be, I think, the core advice I would give to your listeners, right? It's like, what are you trying to solve? What
Yep.
issues are you looking at from the customer perspective? Of course, your mother may think you're Einstein. A lot of people, you may think you're Einstein and you know best. Sure, if you think you know best, then maybe you can go and run with your own project. But I think maybe it's good to have a sounding board, and your sounding board is the customers out there.
Perfect, man. Thank you. Yeah, that was really good. Very well
Thank
said.
you.
You can tell it comes from the heart. You've been there. You've done that. You've went through it.
Oh,
And
I
something that
was
I
the
actually,
Einstein.
me too. Been the Einstein many a times.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, man, when you look at launching a new brand, when you look at launching a new product, going into a new vertical, what's the 80/20, right? Like what are the things that like you would do differently now than when you started Branzio in your first brand? Like what are the shortcuts? What are the things like forget about this? Everybody says do these things, don't do this, right? Just focus on this. Like what's the 80/20?
I think the one thing that I would definitely focus on a lot more this time around would be like twofold. First of all, having the right people in place. I can't stress that enough, right? Having well trained people. It doesn't need to be cheap, and it doesn't need to be too expensive. People think expensive means that you're getting a better quality, and people think cheap hiring VAs in the Philippines or India or something just because is a cash flow thing. It's everybody's read the 4 Hour Work Week. It's not really relevant in this case, right? Just that book has destroyed a lot of businesses. What I highly believe is this: good talent can be found anywhere in the world. It can be found in the slums in Rio. It can be found in Nicaragua. It can be found in Bosnia. It can be found in Kazakhstan. It can be found in New Zealand. Right? Having the motivation of these people is your job as an entrepreneur is to get these people together. Right? So it brings me back to what I had said earlier. What problem are you trying to solve? Right? Once you find out what problem you're trying to solve, you need to find the people who are going to help you solve that problem. And if the people who you're trying to hire don't believe in what you believe in, it's very easy for people to see through that quite easily. Your employees will know you're bullshitting. They know that you're going to be up to no good. So please don't hire those kind of people. Some people just want a job, and I was a working man for somebody once, and I just wanted a job. I wanted my $50,000-$60,000 a year, and I was like, man, I'm so happy. Just give me my 50-60 grand. I'll go home. I'll work 8 hours for you, and that's it. You don't want those people. You want people who come to work every day and they have a spring in their step. The second thing is, which I believe ties in with quite importantly, is the product that you create has to have an oomph. If you yourself are not going to use it, please don't put it out in the market. When I first started making watches, I went to trading houses. I went to like all these, and I got like, honestly, man, pardon my French, it's like I got really shit watches. I was paying like $8 for a watch, and I was like, man, these watches are good. People will buy them. Don't worry about it, And then came my first bans on Facebook and Google. People were like, I was living that short term mentality, and honest to God, I would never go back there. And this is I'm coming up quite clean and honest with you guys. It's like it's not the way to go. And what I would have made $50,000 in 6 months. Yeah, sure. What would I have done? I would have taken it and run away home, and that's it. Gone and lived for like 3 months or 4 months in Europe for the summer or whatever. It's such a short term mentality, right? So hence then the second term comes, which is like, oh, I want to build a product, I want to build a brand, I want to build something for the long term. When I build that, the people I'm surrounded with find my vision extremely motivating, right? So I have a good one too. So that is why I can run 15 brands, because people are excited about a good product that they send to customers, and they feel amazing about providing great service for a good product that customers are using.
Yep.
So you don't deal with people who are jaded and upset and negative. You come to work because you're extremely happy to be there. Yeah,
I'm curious.
Is that along what you wanted?
No, yeah, man, that was really good. I'm curious how you look at a new brand or a new project and how you budget, right? Ecom is expensive, right? Like if you look at a service-based business, right, versus or a software business, which you have some background in, right, versus ecom, right? Cost of goods, it's a lot higher. You're dealing with lots of headaches. I'm curious, when you start another brand, what goes into figuring out the cash flow and the funding and how you launch that?
To answer your question, man, we all bootstrap. So when you're running bootstrap business, it's extremely hard to take out cash flow and put it towards a certain brand. I mean, we've had failures. So it's basically like looking at a few things. Every time we start a brand, we have to be 100% or at least 80% sure that we're going to pursue this particular niche, right? Once we know that we're going to go after that niche, then we're going to earmark about $250,000 minimum towards
Yep.
that brand, because it's we don't want to go in towards a brand that we're going to be half-assed about. And remember what I was talking about quality earlier, that 50% of that budget is spent just on production, making sure the production's done properly, right? Because if we are not putting out a product that we are proud of, then there's no use going ahead with it, right? And of
Yep.
course, then comes the marketing expenses, then comes everything else. There's two schools of thought. In some cases, I've been lucky spending $10,000 on a new brand, and it's worked out, and we were able to scale it to $100,000 within a few months. But in some cases, say for example, if I'm selling couches, right?
Yep.
Couches, although are cheap, but the shipping on couches are extremely expensive, right? So to source couches could be like $20,000, but the shipping on couches is probably like $40,000, believe it or not. So especially when people want 2 day shipping and you're competing with Wayfair or Amazon. So those are the nuances we have to look at when we are starting up brands, right? And of course, I haven't even talked about ad costs, content costs, photography costs, all these other things. So it depends on what are we looking for. A more functional product? Are we looking for a discoverable product? Are we looking for a product which is almost a necessity? Or the famous Amazon story for garlic press, right? Everybody needs to have a garlic press. Yeah, sorry, man, I had to throw it in there. But it depends, right? It depends on the person and what we tend to pursue. Like home furnishings, great margins, great products. Needs a lot of discovery, right? Needs big budgets behind it, for Facebook, for Instagram, for Pinterest, all that kind of stuff, right? Buying, say technology is different. You need to have certain tech influences behind it. You need to have the reviews. You need to have the PC Mag and those guys giving you, the 5 on 5 stars, that kind of stuff. So it just
Yep.
depends on what you're going after,
Yeah,
right?
and I think you gave some good use cases and hard figures there that somebody should be able to run with. So that makes sense. Perfect, man.
Yeah.
So I'm sure all my SEO listeners are like, man, we're like 30 minutes in. Where's that SEO case study?
Where's my
the
juice?
nugget?
Where's my link juice, boys? What's
Yeah, where's
going
that
on?
link juice? How the
Link
hell
juice
did
in the
Ronnie go
house.
from? Yeah, how the hell did Ronnie go from 5,000 visitors a month organically to what was that number? 50K, so 10x organic.
Yes. Let me tell you a story. And this is going to be people are going to make fun of me for this. Okay, of course, link juice. Number one, links always matter. Not gonna lie, it's the only way. It's the way to go. But before that, let me tell you something. How many of good SEO guys put enough time into researching keywords, right? So when you're building your content plan, how much time are you actually putting into researching the content plan? How much time are you spending on Ahrefs, looking at keyword difficulty, looking at snippets, how much snippet space you can take away, how much time are you spending looking at, say, so a part of my strategy for a couple of my business was I was competing against Amazon and a couple of other big brands. But I said, I'm not going to be able to beat Amazon. Like, no fucking way, right? But we started going and we started doing keyword research for some of our search terms. And we found out that in certain small search terms, they only had a search volume of between 100 to like 600, right? But the 100 to 600, the keyword difficulty on Ahrefs was between 0 and 10, right? Some of these keyword terms were discoverable keyword terms, right? So we said, okay, let's try and just hit these guys. So we created like something like a help center, like, hey, come check this out, we'll help you out. But when the customers started coming to the website, what we started doing was we were able to cookie these users, right? We were able to cookie them and we were able to put them in the top of funnel for all the e-com brands. So when they started coming in, we were saying, oh, hey, give us your email. We'll be able to help you out with some more news, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? That's when they come in, you capture the email addresses, then off to the races, right? Now you fed the funnel, then you can start warming up your leads, right? You can warm up your customers to what they want to do. We know that the customer is looking for how to put let's say, how to repair a PC and is looking to, use the Radeon card within their DIY build a PC thing. Okay, fair enough. Now we know what they're looking for. This is a classic case of a DIY PC guy. This guy, at some point of time, not now, but maybe a few months from now, is going to definitely be interested in something from like Razer or something else like that, right?
Yep.
So we're able to upsell them on some hardware. We got the email whenever we have a big sale for like Razer headphones or something to do with a DIY PC component. We know that we can segment this user into that basket. So I've just drawn you a roadmap, and I know you know this, man, but I'm sure, but for some people, it's like, here's a roadmap of how I've converted from SEO to e-commerce in terms of cash,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
How I've used 0 to 10, really low keyword difficulty, I think we spent about like at least 20 to 30 days to do keyword research for this, just for what terms we want to target, right?
Yep.
And then we started building those. We got lucky with some skyscraper content pages. So, we made about 2 to 3 skyscraper content pages. They were
Yep.
about 15 to 20,000 pages long, right? We focused on just link building for those. We did outreach. We did all that kind of stuff, right? So, but most of the traffic increase that we saw was actually because of targeting stuff like structured snippets, even, right?
Yeah.
We started ranking for those skyscraper pages. That content was started ranking for related search terms, which had 2 to 3,000 searches just within snippets or for mobile.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, so it's the process of how we actually driving traffic isn't just limited to just being saying, I have money, I'm going to throw it in a bin, and a bin isn't the right word, but we're just gonna throw it into the machine and let the machine optimize it, right? We need to be able to think how we're using different ways of versions of traffic, and how we actually are going to massage our leads, and how the funnel works. I hate to call it a funnel, but like how what does your customer journey look like, right? Yeah,
exactly.
Like what does your customer journey look like from different perspectives, right? It's like how are you attacking it? That's what people don't realize, and that's I'm not an expert, but it's just food for thought.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
I love that. So simple, but SEOs don't think about funnels typically, right? It's like two different worlds, right? And so I think you gave a nice practical example of the customer journey in terms of SEO and how you made that apply with ecom. Most people with ecom aren't really doing the content marketing play, so to speak, either. Right? They're just so focused on the initial head terms and traffic and people buying right now. They're not concerned about long term.
Well, yeah, I mean that's it's something that doesn't come, like, I'm sure, like it doesn't come overnight, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you've been around, this is my fifth or sixth year, and this is the learning I've had after my so many years, right? If I were to have anything to say to people who are new, this would be something. This would be it, right? It's like, don't look at your business purely as transactional. Look at it from take it a couple of notches up to look at it from a let's say an eagle eyes point of view, because that would give you a little bit more, because it's like from the T-Myth book, like you don't want to be a technician in your own business, right? You don't want to be getting your hand. I mean, it's good to get your hands dirty, but if you keep on getting your hands dirty every day, then you're not going to grow as an entrepreneur. If you want to grow as an entrepreneur, then perhaps you need to step out and you need to be able to see it from a few different angles. It's like the Matrix. You look at it from different ways.
From every angle, yeah, for sure. I like that, the Matrix.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
That was a good analogy.
Maybe I'm too old and I kind of like the Matrix.
I like the Matrix. Hey, all right, man.
Thanks,
so I really appreciate you being here. This has been awesome. I think that there's definitely nuggets, so to speak, that people are going to be able to take from this episode, and advice that people are going to be able to run with and make a noticeable difference in their business. So first and foremost, thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks, man. My pleasure.
And one last question that we like to wrap the show up with. So instead of asking you to recommend 3 books, right, like I feel like every podcast does, I want to ask you, as you look at your business right now, man, and how it currently sits, what book do you see in your business? Right? You've mentioned E-Myth a couple of times, right? You've mentioned a couple of other books. Like you've mentioned the 4-Hour Work Week, maybe not as a great example, maybe the opposite of the example that you're looking at. But when you look at your business, what books do you see?
When I look at my business today, I'm always a big fan of Ogilvy and advertising. I'm sure you've read it. I read it when I was 14 or 15. I got into advertising. I think that book is still so relevant today because it's full of really good quotes, right? It's like, no, I think my favorite one would be like the customer is not a fool, right? She is your wife, so don't treat your customer ever like a fool. Another one I think it's in the first few paragraphs of the book, which is no matter what has happened, for centuries, the habits of humans have remained the same. So no matter what happens, how we sleep, how we eat. I know the smartphones have definitely changed our behaviors a little bit, but the basics of what humans are, what our needs are in terms of, love, attention, emotions, all this kind of stuff have remained quite similar. So if you were, and it's a good psychology book also, in fact, right, which goes into explaining psychological depth of everything. So I'd say it's quite relevant. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend you read it. He's got two books, I think, Ogilvy on advertising, and another one, I don't know, Confessions of an Advertising Man.
Yep, exactly. Yep, both very good books. I haven't read them for a long time. I think probably due for a reread. So thanks for those recommendations, man, and thank you so much for coming and hanging out for the last 50 minutes.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. It was awesome.
So we'll make sure to link up to everything that we chatted about today. Where you are most active socially, where people can connect with you, Ronnie?
Yeah, you can hit me up on Instagram at Sir Wexford. You can hit me up on LinkedIn, Ronnie Teja, or you can hit me up on Twitter at Roaring Ronnie. But yeah,
all right, brother.
Anyway, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Joe Troy here, signing out.